Let's catch up with the latest news, everything that has been going on, beginning with this one, the latest on Martinelli Martinelli and Gabriel. Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka return date in terms of the injuries. What's going on there? So this is the latest that has been reported from John Cross of the Mirror. Mikel Arteta is hoping to have Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli back after the next international break. They could even return to face Fulham on Tuesday, April 1st, to give Arsenal's running a huge boost after their devastating injury list. Obviously, it's not April Fool's and all that, but now between then and that international break, that game between us and Fulham, we're going to have at least 6 games. So it's definitely going to be 6 games. So we have West Ham at home this weekend, a game that we obviously have to win. No two thoughts about it, just have to win it. And then after that, we will also play Nottingham Forest away in the league, Man United away in the league, and Chelsea at home in the league. So that's not easy. Now we will have another break in terms of one of the weekend because we're not in the FA Cup. So we will play this weekend against West Ham, and then we will play against Nottingham Forest next midweek. And then that weekend between Nottingham and the Champions League first leg, we won't have a fixture that weekend. So the Champions League, the 2 games, the Champions League, it could be between us and AC Milan, or us and Juventus, or us and Feyenoord, or PSV. So one of those teams, we're going to play them twice between now and the next international break. So those are 6 games that we have to survive. Now, it's not going to be easy. Like you'd have hoped, like there you'd have, no disrespect to them, but you'd hope you'd have Southampton at home, and then maybe you'll have a Leicester game again, an easy opponent in the Champions League. Who could that be? A Feyenoord or someone? Famous last words, but one of those teams. But obviously, it's not going to be easy. We are going to go to Nottingham, who obviously are in the top 4 competing to get into the Champions League. We are going to face Man United, who will probably turn up against us as they always do. We have a good record against them in the league recently, same with Chelsea, but both of them will probably turn up. West Ham, another team that we usually beat, but they did beat us at home last season. So that's another tough fixture, you can argue. And then Champions League, the 2 games. So if they come, and then after Chelsea, we'll have another a 2-week international break. Hopefully by then, we are feeling good and we've won games, and then that break helps us, going to the Fulham game, having a couple of players returning. Now, what we have to do is to survive until then. Best case scenario, we have to, we are hoping it will be 3 or 4 points. Right now, we are 7 points behind Liverpool, but the next 3 fixtures will really tell. Liverpool have Man City, Aston Villa, and Newcastle. Aston Villa will be the first one. And then for us, as we said, we have West Ham, Nottingham Forest, and Man United. So the best case scenario is by the time we get to April 1st, we are like 3 or 4 points behind Liverpool. So that will mean either Liverpool lose one and draw one of those games, and then we win all of them that we have, which is not going to be easy, but that's just the best case scenario. That's the dream scenario, 3-4 points behind Liverpool by April 1st. And then obviously after that, we'll have to go to Liverpool and probably beat them there. Worst case scenario is those players come back and we're still 7 points behind, and we have to have a miracle in the last 2 months of the season. Or the worst case scenario is Liverpool beat Man City and Aston Villa, and it's pretty much over by then. By the time Saka and Martinelli come back, it's too late, and our only hope is the Champions League. Or the worst case scenario, it's completely over and you're already out to the Champions League by then, and it's over basically. So the last 2 situations, we are hoping we're not going to be there. We are hoping we're going to be in the first situation, the best case scenario. Liverpool have dropped points against in 2 games out of the Aston Villa, Man City, Newcastle games, and Arsenal have somehow, without any forward players, gone and beat West Ham, gone and beat Nottingham, and gone to Old Trafford and beaten Man United. That would be the dream scenario. So hopefully that works out, because if that is the case and those 2 players come back, that would be huge. Just imagine. So we will need the likes of Nwaneri and Merino to be at the top of their game, Odegaard as well. And defensively, we'll really have to, defensively have to be very, very good, man. Very, very good. Because I'm imagine we are 3-4 points behind Liverpool by then, and we are getting that right-hand side back of Saka, Odegaard, and Ben White, and we still have now the options of Timber and Nwaneri. You could try some games with both Odegaard and Nwaneri in the number 8 and the number 10 positions. That would be perfect, because this whole season, we've missed that White, Odegaard, and Saka combination on the right side, which has basically carried us for 2 seasons. We've missed that. So if that is the case, that would be absolutely fantastic. And then on the left side, you have other options in Martinelli and Trossard together. That would be perfect. Obviously, Havertz and Jesus are out for the season, so the only 2-3 players you're waiting for really are Martinelli and Saka and Tomiyasu if you ever see him. So those are the only players that we're waiting for. And we know how important Saka is. Right now, Saka is still like number one in terms of big chances created in the league. And he's been out for like 2 months now. And he's still number one in so many statistics already. He could have had 17 or 18 assists by now. He's very important for us, not just in terms of creating chances and scoring goals and being our go-to man like he was away at Chelsea when he needed a goal, and away and home at too many teams. Saka always turns up in the big games. That opening goal against Liverpool, that Chelsea game I mentioned, it would be very important having him and Nwaneri together. That would be great. And Martinelli hasn't been great the last 2 seasons, but we all know like you'd rather have Martinelli there than a very poor Sterling this season. So you'd rather have Martinelli. And I remember 2 seasons ago when we had lost the title to Man City the first time we competed with them, the end of that season, Martinelli was our best player by far. The 2023 season, and everything had fallen apart when we were losing to Nottingham and Brighton. Martinelli was our best player at the end of that season. So let's hope that when those players come back, we're in the best case scenario, not too far behind Liverpool. Let's go to the second piece of news, and it's the contract situation in Martinelli. So this came out a couple of days ago, but we never got to speak about it. So Arsenal have opened discussions with Gabriel Martinelli over a new long-term contract, although negotiations are in the early stages. There's a feeling among all parties that an agreement will be reached. Now, listen, I've seen a lot of people entertaining selling Martinelli, selling Trossard, selling Havertz, letting go of Partey on a free. I've seen a lot of people entertaining all of that. For me personally, that has never really been the plan. We needed to sign forward players and keep the players we have. Because if you sign a left wing and then you sell Martinelli and Trossard, that does not make sense. You still have, you might have a quality improvement, but you'll not have a quantity improvement. You'll still be in the trenches in terms of not having any backup. So the ideal situation would have been to have a striker with Havertz helping out and Jesus helping out. You would have had Saka and someone else helping him out, Odegaard with Nwaneri helping him out, and then Martinelli and Trossard on the left side. If you're getting another winger, all 3 of them helping out, Trossard helping out in any position. We saw Martinelli playing on the right side a few times. That would have been the dream scenario because Sterling will leave Arsenal. So we don't want, again, when we get to next season, we have a left winger, but we don't have Martinelli and Trossard. They've moved on. No, I wouldn't want that. I still feel Trossard has another year at Arsenal, and Martinelli he's not had a great 2 seasons, but he still has a future for us right now. Maybe because of those 2-3 seasons that he had really good seasons. He had a lot of credit in the bank, but a lot of that credit has gone, obviously, the poor performances over the last 2 seasons. But unless you're getting like 100 million or something, then you sell him. I don't think we're in a position to sell players. We need to add to what we have. We don't have enough players. I don't think we're in a position to sell players. The only players that you can really let go of are like defensively. You already know Tierney is moving on. You already know Sterling is going to move on. You already know Neto is probably going to go back to Bournemouth. And then there's other players like, between Zinchenko and Kivior who's going to leave. The rest of the squad, even midfield as well, I don't think Jorginho is going to leave as well. So Zubimendi will be coming in at the end of the season. So that will be the replacement. But any other player in midfield, I don't think we can afford to lose any other player. Defensively, we'll be good next season. Hopefully, we get a few players back, the likes of Tomiyasu. And then forward line, we need to add to it. We don't need to replace. We need to add to it. We need to add to what we have already, not replace, because we'll still have a problem in terms of depth. So let's that is my thoughts on that and giving Martinelli a new contract. I would definitely keep Martinelli and Trossard next season and then add to that. I don't think we're in a position to sell players because if we sell Martinelli and Trossard, then we don't need 1 player. We need 2. If we sell this one, you don't need 2. We need 3 players. And then all of a sudden, we need to improve. This summer, we need a striker and we need the midfielder to replace Jorginho, and obviously we'll still be looking for a backup goalkeeper again, and then a winger to help out on the left side and the right side. So let's see what that contract will look like for Gabriel Martinelli. He's not the only one. Trossard as well. Jason Aitos, who's the current sporting director, the caretaker, basically, is expected to have an important meeting in order to renew Leandro Trossard's contract with Arsenal during this month of February. This case has been slowed down due to Edu Gaspar's departure. So as I've said, a lot of people have been entertaining to sell Trossard. Again, I wouldn't. He's been here. This is his second full season for Arsenal. So he's been, after the end of this season, he'll be at Arsenal for 2.5 seasons. And I think if you had to rate his 2.5 seasons at Arsenal, he'd probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10. When he came in, he had double-figure assists in like 3-4 months. The next season, which was last season, he was absolutely incredible in terms of the clutch goals in the Champions League and in the Premier League. This season, it's been a mixed bag. If you were to rate this, and maybe you'd give it like a 6 out of 10 or something, it hasn't been great, but he still manages to, put in crucial crosses like he did against Ipswich for the Havertz goal, recently for the Merino goal against Leicester. And there's been some really good performances, but also some really poor performances. You remember the penalty miss against Shakhtar, and in and around that period, he was really poor. But he's still been, if you're to rate his time at Arsenal again, it would be a positive. So if you're to sell him, maybe let's see what happens after next season, but I would still keep him. Unless you're getting 2 players in terms of the winger, which I don't think you're going to be doing, you keep him. You let Sterling go back to Chelsea, and then you keep Trossard, not as a regular starter, but as a backup. Now, the bad news for today is that Arsenal have been fined. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Arsenal have been fined for not controlling their players, which is crazy. I saw someone saying that time we got that Lewis Kelly red card, and then they were like wanting to fine us and taking us to court. And someone said on Twitter, and I was like, yeah, this is very accurate. It's like you catching someone with your wife, sleeping with your wife, and then you tell them, you shout at them and you scream at them, what are you doing? And they tell you, listen, you are very right. I was wrong to do this, but the day you caught me with your wife, I did not like the way you screamed at me. I'm going to take you to court. Like, that does not make sense at all. Does not make sense at all, because Michael Oliver was wrong. That was never a red card. It was their mistake. And players obviously would be furious. It's not like anyone went and pushed Michael Oliver or bad language or anything like that. Players, obviously, they've never seen anything like that. They've never seen anyone getting a red card like that. But he gave him a red card, and it was rescinded. Everyone agreed that was not a red card, but obviously we're still going to be fined. And listen, we're tired of complaining about referees, but we see it every time, and still surrounding the referee. They never get fined and banned in anything like that. But with us, it always happens. So the unusually high fine is due to the following reasons: Arsenal's 5 previous charges from January 2022 on their record. Number 9 of players involved, 9 players involved, the length of protest 2 minutes and 45 seconds, forceful nature of protest. And then Michael Oliver said this about Arsenal. Michael Oliver wrote an extraordinary incident report following Arsenal's trip to Wolves last month, according to the FA. Following the 43rd minute dismissal, a number of Arsenal players surrounded myself to protect a decision that you are wrong with. So I don't know, man. I just don't want to see Michael Oliver in any Arsenal games again. Terrible referee, terrible decisions every single time. And again, how can we say that it's fair when we watch a Liverpool game yesterday and, Van Dijk should have had a yellow card, no yellow card. Konate should have had a red card. He kicked the ball away when he was just that situation. He was given a yellow card, Michael Oliver, the same referee, gave Martinelli 2 yellow cards in the same phase of play a couple of years ago. Konate didn't happen with that. McAllister should have had a red card in 2 games ago. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. If everyone was fair, I would not complain about it. But that thing that really bothers me is the fact that no one else has ever been given a red card for kicking the ball away, since we were given 2 of them. But anyway, we're tired of speaking about referees. Arsenal have been fined that amount of money, £65,000. We have the most red cards this season, and like 65% of them were wrong. The only one that maybe I could agree with is Saliba, but again, that same day we saw someone doing the same thing and they aren't given a red card, but whatever. It is what it is, as they would say. So let's see what else happens throughout this week. That's the latest in terms of the news. Let me know what you make of all that, especially Martinelli and Trossard. Would you like to keep them next season, or would you move them on if you get the right price? Let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.